In today's video, I'm doing my predictions for the next 3 years of conference and Stanley Cup finals. We'll get to it coming up now. So in the Western Conference final this year, I have the Minnesota Wild taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. This will be a very interesting battle. The Wild will surprise a ton of teams this upcoming season, while the Golden Knights, as usual, are back to getting to the conference final in the Western Conference, but this year will be a little bit different than last year. The Minnesota Wild on the road would take down the Vegas Golden Knights. In the Eastern Conference, we have the Carolina Hurricanes getting to the Eastern Conference final again, this time taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs, who exercise all of their demons to make it to the conference final. And sort of like last year, Carolina can't win in conference finals. The Carolina Hurricanes will fall to the hands of the Toronto Maple Leafs this year in the Eastern Conference final in 5 games, setting up a Stanley Cup final of Wild Maple Leafs, two teams who've never won a Stanley Cup in a very long time, at least for the Leafs side. But the Wild are able to handily beat them. The Wild will take them down in 6 games, and even though the Leafs finally exercise all of their demons to make it to the Stanley Cup final, the Wild do end it, winning their first ever Stanley Cup in franchise history. Then, next year, the Western Conference final will be between the Edmonton Oilers and the St. Louis Blues, the current and former teams of Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway. The Blues will have a really solid regular season led into the postseason, while the Edmonton Oilers are once again able to get back to the Western Conference final, and the Oilers are once again going to be able to make it to the Stanley Cup final, beating the St. Louis Blues in 7 games. In the Eastern Conference final next year, we will see the Habs take on the New York Rangers. The Rangers will finally get back to the Eastern Conference final after a couple of bad seasons. The Montreal Canadiens, after rebuilding for a couple of years, will be making the Eastern Conference final, where they'll take down the New York Rangers in 5 games, thus leading to an all-Canadian final of the Montreal Canadiens taking on the Edmonton Oilers. And in the final next year, it will be the Edmonton Oilers who take down the Montreal Canadiens in 5 games. Well, the Canadiens are really good at that point. Edmonton will be able to get past them and bring the Stanley Cup back to Canada. And then over in the 2028 Stanley Cup playoffs, in the Western Conference final, we will see 2 extremely young teams face off as the Utah Mammoth will take on the San Jose Sharks. And both these teams are really good teams, but the Mammoth will be able to come away on top in 5 games. The Sharks at this point are still a little bit more experienced than the Utah team is. In the Eastern Conference final, we will see the Ottawa Senators take on the Columbus Blue Jackets, 2 teams who have never been to a Stanley Cup final, just like Utah and San Jose, but Ottawa, with how much they have grown over those past couple of years, will be able to handily beat Columbus in 5 games, thus leading to an Ottawa Senators Utah Mammoth Stanley Cup final, in which Ottawa is able to take down Utah in 6 games and bring the cup back to the nation's capital of Canada. These are going to be the next 3 seasons of Stanley Cup finals.